Yeah, okay, I've got the money to pay for it, no problem. I'm doing that.
Lap times are just starting to drop now. We're seeing low 23s, where yesterday on new rubber they were down in the 22s, but early on, well, so far this session, on first 3 laps, we've been well into the high 24s and above.
Thiago's fully lit here, isn't he? This is a real quick one from Thiago Montero. Lopez going very quickly somewhere around the circuit as well. Thiago's here with his wife and children. Excellent. So now this is perfect. If you bring your wife and kids here, it's cold, it's grey, it's dull. They can't even sit by the pool and enjoy the sunshine. Fantastic. You see, it's not the glamorous lie by the pool all day event that you think it is.
Yeah, definitely different from former years when it's been 40 degrees.
Well, yes, when we came here in the middle of the summer, then you couldn't get back to the pool quickly enough to try and cool down, especially if you're driving one of these sweat boxes. So Lopez fastest, Mikulich second for Honda, Bernani third quickest at the moment. And Mehdi, we were talking about this last night, Harry. You know, when we first came here, nobody had ever heard the name Mehdi Bernani before. He came in with a Seat, didn't he? Run by Kathy Muller, Hexagon Engineering, Yvonne Muller's sister. And he was just spectacularly good. Nobody ever heard of him, had no expectations, and I'm sure he didn't. At that stage, he'd only done a handful of Formula Renault races and, you know, maybe a dozen races in various saloons, half a Renault Clio season, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
No really major experience, but just came in and was really quite competitive in not, you know, a European Clio Cup field, a World Championship field. I thought that was, and especially on, you know, a street circuit, how intimidating is that?
It was the petrol Seat. It was when we first started to see the diesel Seats kind of taking the mantle and running away with everything, and he was up there running with the diesels in a lowly little TFSI.
And see how he's hanging on to the back of Yvonne Muller as well. Now, of course, coming in here, he, in the 10 paces between the back of the truck and the garage, there will be 175 people desperately looking to talk to Mehdi and get an autograph and everything. So he's got all that pressure to deal with. You know, last night, the big reception and everything, he was, of course, the star. The whole thing here, it's like Norby Mania that we're used to seeing, but he's that same thing here. You know, they don't have a whole host of middle distance runner stars now. He is the biggest sportsman in the country. And, you know, we try to explain this about Norby. You know, it's as if David Beckham and the Queen and David Bowie and Freddie Mercury and One Direction were all the same person. It's that sort of an impact. Well, Bernani's got that sort of... God, I didn't notice that bump.
Yeah.
We obviously weren't going quickly enough there.
There's 2 big ones on the turn-in, but that's Montero's just put the second fastest lap of the session in. Just behind Mikulich as well, obviously in the Honda as well into the 22s now, so we're getting back down to the territory where we were yesterday. Obviously this won't be on new rubber. They were on new rubber yesterday. Citroën saying that they feel it's going to be a mid-20s lap, and we also spoke to Carnell, who thinks it's going to be a 19, so interesting to see exactly where we end up with that.
You see, the track will evolve. It'll rubber in, as long as it doesn't rain again too much overnight. It will rubber in. It'll get a little less dirty and maybe a little more grippy. The issue then will be, like in Hungary, it'll become more grippy online, and then the difference between being on the line and off the line will be more extreme, and it'll make it harder to overtake, because you're going to lose much more by being offline, trying to harass around the back of somebody, than would be the case maybe on a normal racetrack that's fully rubbered up.
Yeah, I think overtaking is going to be very, very difficult around here, isn't it? There's no real obvious positions where you can put an outbraking manoeuvre in. With the previous incarnation of this, with the 2 big chicanes down the back straight, that gave you plenty of opportunity to try and get a run on someone. And also there's quite a lot of towing. You know, it was really important to get a tow. It was about 0.4 of a second difference last year between someone having a tow and not having a tow. And that's the difference between making it possible to overtake and someone like this, where you've got a lot of changes of direction as well, which makes it quite hard.
Huffy just saw him starting another lap. He's gone second quickest. Lopez now down to 4th fastest. Green sectors for him, but no purples at the moment. No purples for Yvonne either. Yvonne 10th. And Harry, you were looking at the points and going, ooh, Yvonne's getting a bit of a kicking. And maybe that's why he was so vociferous when Rob Huff, quote, hit him. unquote, last time out in Hungary when Ivan moved over on a car that was already alongside and there was contact.
Yeah, it's really hard in that position as well because Ivan will obviously he'll be feeling the pressure. Lopez has won the last two seasons, and maybe one you might say, okay, he's had an unlucky year, then he's lost last year as well.
Yeah.
And he's fairly consistently being outperformed by Lopez. That's big pressure for Ivan, who's come here as pretty much the world touring car great of years gone by. He's got to be feeling the pressure. It's a bit like we're seeing at the minute with Formula One with Lewis Hamilton and Rosberg. You start getting into a negative spiral, and all of a sudden nothing seems to go your way. You get no rubs of the green, and it all starts mounting up and adds to the pressure that you've already got.
Well, yes, you don't want to accept that some years you're not going to have the best car and the best season, but it is inevitable that even if you are in the best car, it's not always going to be you that wins it. And yeah, I mean, Hamilton's in that position where Rosberg, everything he does now, Rosberg, he barely needs to think about because he's so confident everything is going the right way, everything's going his way, everything falls into his lap. And for Muller, it's the same deal. For the last 2 seasons, he's been in the best car, and every single day of the championship, every single day for both seasons, he's been behind the guy who eventually won the championship. And this year, every single day of the championship, he has been behind Lopez for the 3rd straight year. And Ivan's not doing much wrong, but he is now 50 points behind. That's an entire race weekend behind, which means he has to take more chances, push harder against Lopez, who's already taking as many chances as he can and pushing hard. So you're in a big hole, and you've got to keep digging, and it becomes more and more of a strain on the driver's nerves all the time. And so when he does get into contact with somebody, it's not always because he's driving naturally, it's because he's trying to force something to happen, and that's always where decisions go wrong, where it's not instinctive. When you're trying to force something to change, that's where it all goes wrong.
Honda's really starting to find their feet now. Montero just put in 22.3 and Huffy on the 22.4, Michelin's on the 22.5, then Lopez next down the road on the 22.6. So it's going to be mega close, whatever we see. But
and then Katzberg and Tarquini. So again, we're seeing that the Lada has got a decent chassis, and the traction problems that benighted it for the last couple of seasons are not so bad. Now, that was a great indication of how close up against that inside wall you get in that final corner, that little left-right sequence, because you saw Valente take that inside curve and it jumped a foot across the road. Yeah,
it's pretty aggressive, that curve, I think, on the inside there. It can throw you out over that stuff on the outside as well. But it's where the suspension is going to come into its play here. It's always been, sorry, I keep going on about the old track, but the old track used to be really important for suspension as well, with the runoff and the curbs.
Yep.
It was all about having effective curb strikes. We've still got that there on that corner.
You see, now that is the only chicane we've got now. We used to have 3 chicanes as well as the hairpin. Now we've got a couple, more tighter turns. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hairpins basically, but only the 1 chicane. And actually, that's not a bad chicane. It's more of a really tight corner and then an open corner after it. It's a bit more like the bus stop is at Spa now.
Ekblom's going quite hard here as well in the Volvo, up in 7th.
Yeah.
Just behind Tarquini. That's not a bad effort. And had a Volante, had a Bernani, Chilton, also Muller.
There's Ekblom just going through shot. John Philippi is currently 17th, flying Gregoire de Moustier. Franz Fischer out in the Zengo Motorsport Honda. The second car is not here, and yet to see John Bryant Meisner and Mika Racing appear at a racetrack. They have informed the FIA that they are not going to be here this weekend. So if they turn up at the Nordschleife, I think that is the target also, that Zoltán Zengo is hoping to have an engine from Mugen for Norbert Nudge to complete their 2-car team.
Lopez on a lap here. That camera angle from the front splitter there is a real good indicator as to how bumpy it is around here, but just put P2 time in of 22.4.
And you can see also, when you get the high shot of the corners, you can just see where all the bumps are, because they're covered in black rubber, where, you lock up a little after, or the tyre locks up as it loses grip in a depression and then hits the top of the bump. Well, you can see again there.
Yeah.
Tomo comes out the final corner. You can see where the wheels chatter.
These cars have got so much torque as well. It's all about getting that power down onto the road without any wheel spin, and that's a thing that we know that the Hondas are very, very strong at. They've got a really good system on the turbo and how the lag comes in, and one of the reasons why we're seeing them doing so well around here.
Well, that and the fact that it's a relatively short, a slightly shorter wheelbase than the CLEZ, and actually probably than the Chevrolet Cruze as well. Where Honda loses out is on the longer, faster stuff. So when you get to Shanghai, the hatchback aerodynamics, so Björk just overcooking it. That's down the end, turn 7 and 8. Just overcooking it. That's the sort of almost where the first chicane was on the old front straight, just before the first chicane. And then coming back, this is now on what used to be the old back straight. Ted raced home from the last race to see his wife and have their new baby. So he was presented with a World Touring Car Championship driver's baby grow at the welcome evening yesterday.
Mikulits has just come back out of the pit lane there and done a 22.0, which has put him back on top of the timesheet. But I wonder if that could be maybe not a new tyre run, but certainly a new tyre run. Could be finding a little bit in the data as well. He'll have his data engineer looking at all of the cars, saying, you know, maybe Rob's doing one corner. There's a really fast right-hander. I think it's probably turn 2.
Yeah.
That one, it was debatable. We went around this morning and we were debating whether it looked flat or not. I know Rob was saying last night, Rob Huff, saying it could be flat in.
Well, it's how far you can get flat before it slightly opens up just about inside 100 metres for the left-hander that follows, which is quite a tight second gear corner. So it's how far round here you can get before you have to brake for here. So this is turn 3. Okay, and that's not it. Ooh, see, now there's the danger of curbs on the inside. Norby there had to sort of, this is 11 and 12, the final couple of corners, and he took a bit too much on the inside of 11, and then suddenly that little 2 inches of clearance you got for the wall is gone, and you're 8 inches too far over if the car jumps a foot, you know.
That actually, I think, cost him a faster lap. It was the fastest middle sector we've seen.
Wow, Thiago's on a quick one as well. At the moment, it is Honda, Citroën, Honda, Lada, Citroën, and Volvo, your top 7. Tom Coronel, 8th, is the fastest of the Chevys.
There's that rear wheel locking, as you were saying, Martin, before. With these cars will have like a remote blow-off valve for the rear end, so that it tries to limit how much the rear tyres lock. But we were watching the Clios before this, and obviously they're a little bit more primitive, so they tend to put a bit more rubber down.
So Thiago in the final 2 corners. Purple first sector by 34 thousandths. Purple sector second sector by 46 thousandths. Will this put him on top of the pile? No. 1,000th of a second behind Norbert Mikulis. A 22.418 and a 22.419 then. Sorry, 084 and 085.
I'm touching the front quite a lot. I'm braking. And on the curves I feel a little bit more on the floor touching.
I feel a little bit more wonderful touching.
I think he's talking about his front right grabbing a little bit over those bumps that we've seen, and I also think it's he might have said the splitter as well under braking. We saw it before. It looks mega low there. You see when he hits the brakes and going over those bumps. If he is catching the splitter, you don't want to do that every lap.
Fredrik Ekblom is 10th at the moment. Where's Ted gone? Ted's gone 7th quickest. We saw him locking up and obviously having a fairly aggressive lap. Here is the end of the lap. And so when we go, oh, he's gone off. No, he's going into the pit lane. That's going to happen a few times before we get used to that, to what will be a reverse angle shot there of a car going off. Because if you get the line wrong, this is 11. No, this is not. This is 8, 9. And then this is the hairpin at turn 10, coming onto the old back straight. Timing sector 2 ends here. And then this would be approaching where the first chicane was. This is where the chicane used to be. And in fact, when you come in there, Harry, you can see paint over where the curb marks and everything else used to be. And then we turn sharp left, sharp right to come back onto the old pit straight in the wrong direction. Look in the background, you'd have gone straight up the straight there and onto the first corner. So now we loop around. The back of the whole paddock area is now enclosed by the racetrack, whereas previously it was outside of the racetrack. And then when they come back from here, this is corner 2, long sweeping right-hander. Brake, 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 brake. Hard turn 3 here. Ooh.
Oh, Huffy off.
Huffy's overshot. Now that's one of only 2 runoff areas. I think that's turn 7.
Yeah, I think it is. That's where we were
Or is
looking.
that the first corner? No, that is the first corner.
You sure?
I think so. I can't see now. The first corner is no longer visible from our window. No, that is turn 7.
Yeah, it's 7.
Watch the splitter. Oh,
yeah.
Chatter, chatter, chatter. Yeah, really do. And they went, whoop, no, bail.
That's the risk with the splitter hitting the ground, because as soon as it does, it kind of removes a bit of the weight from the front tyres, and that's all it takes to.
Yeah, no, that is turn 7. So down the old front straight. So he sort of ran off into what would have been almost the approach for the first chicane originally.
The other thing, obviously, it's, you know, FP1, this is the exact time when Rob, what he'll be doing there, he'll be finding exactly how late he can go on the brakes.
Yep.
So he'll probably know now on brand new rubber without the splitter hitting, he can brake where he tried to brake there. But it's exactly what free practice is for.
Exactly. To set the car up for a different track, and, you know, it is a brand new track. Lots of it is brand new tarmac. There's a whole new layout and everything that you knew about the previous track. Some of it will work, some of it won't. And it's in its basic stuff like, you know, we talked about how many curbs there were that you used to have to hit very hard. And so all your, you know, damper settings, to blow off pressures on the dampers and all of that for curb strikes, those will have to be amended because this is the only one you hit.
Yeah, and it's a very different requirement now. It's more focused on these braking turn-in bumps, rather. That's where you're going to find and lose time on the confidence on being able to throw the car in and turn it in over those bumps, over the surface changes. That's much more important now than the curb strikes, where we saw in the past the curb strikes made the difference between a second a lap in some cases.
Yeah. So Coronel down to 11 and 12. This little, so that is hard to stitch together because it's a left and a right, and the right is probably quicker than you think it is, but there's all those curbs on the outside that you just saw the Lada run over the top of in the background, and those are going to cost you time because anytime the wheel is bumping in the air over curbs, it's not grabbing the road and it's not providing traction, so that makes life slower. Turn 1 here with Huffy, drifting out towards the wall, but then you've got to come back and somehow judge where you're going to apex on this long right-hander, and sort of the closest to the wall is actually just as you're getting on the brakes for turn 3 here, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of camber in that corner there.
Yeah.
More than you'd expect for a street circuit. You can tell that must be one of the corners they've built with permanent circuit in mind, I guess.
Yeah. So 4 and 5, that chicane. Corner 6 again, really important corner to get right because it brings you onto the back straight. And this is with Banani at turn 1. Yeah, there's the Royal Palace on the right-hand side. And coming around the back of the paddock. So, yeah, this is 5 and 6. 4 and 5 rather, chicane. Corner 6 here. John Philippi stays out of the way as Mehdi comes down the back straight. And then 7 and 8. These two are just close enough to be one corner, really, sort of opener steering and back in again, particularly at the speeds they're doing. And then there's a sort of long right-hand bend into this corner 10 onto the old bag straight. That's really quite sharp as well.
Yeah, braking for 10 is going to be all important.
You know, that's going to be a kind of, is it second, is it first?
Yeah,
kind of corner.
It's a very similar layout to the old circuit where we saw the big crashes happening quite a lot. An unsighted, fast sweeping, that was a left-hander, but into a right, which then went left again. But it's a very similar layout of corner where you can't see the braking area is totally unsighted. You're off camber, you're turning the other way, and difficult. That's where we're seeing a lot of the rear wheels locking up.
And of course, the other thing, which we don't see, even from that camera angle, well, from the high cameras, you go, well, we can see all the way around the corner, we can see where the car is. Of course, the drivers can't. Even in a road car, when we were going around this morning, you know, the walls are up above your eye level, and so you can't see round corners, you can only see what you can see, and so you are really reliant on flag marshals, that if there is something blocking the track, somebody's had one or they've stopped or whatever, then you really have to pay attention to the flags. The flags have to be very, very good, because there is no advance warning. Look at what you can't see there. You can't see anything.
And that's a high camera point, you know, it's much higher than where the driver's sat.
That's on the top of the roof, and the driver's eye line will be, a foot below.
Yeah.
You can see the camera on the top left. Look how low Ted Björk is. He can barely see out over the bonnet. You know, I always say it looks like some granny in Florida sitting way down in the car.
Yeah, genuinely, from that driving position, you can't see over the top of the steering wheel, you know, you're not looking at the bonnet, you can't see, he won't be able to see any blue from where he's sat.
Yeah.
And you can see, if you look at his head relative to the height of the arm co. I mean, they will put the seat up for street circuits. Some drivers like to be a little bit higher for street circuits, just for that exact reason.
Yeah.
You're looking down a little bit more on it, but you still, there's a limit, and there's an argument to have with your engineers to how high you can go. And
because they'll complain about the balance of the car, and in the end you want performance, and you're just going to have to suck it up, buttercup, and get on with it a bit.
Yeah, you look at Debussy, for example, he looks relatively high in his car. His head seems quite a bit higher than a lot of the other guys. But again, it's more confidence inspiring if you can be that high.
And confidence is everything on the street circuit. You can't see enough, you know there's no runoff, you must have confidence. And I think Greg's going to struggle a little bit more this weekend than he has in the previous three weekends this season, because of that confidence factor.
Yeah, he's 3 seconds down the road at the minute from the pole time, which is obviously quite a lot over a short lap, but like you say, it's got to grow some big cojones early on to try and get up to that kind of pace.
Well, Björk choosing a place to stay out of the way and get himself a little bit of a gap. So this is a sort of qualifying attempt lap now from Ted Björk. He's been out for 3 or 4 laps already on this set of tyres, so now he's going to push it and see exactly what they can get. Hugo Valente, by the way, just gone 6th, as you can see on your screen. So Nicky Katzberg 5th for Lada, Huff 4th for Honda. Lopez the only Citroen in the top 6. Oops. John Philippi out braking himself. Was he watching the mirrors?
Yeah, he could have been.
And Huffy again, you see curb on the inside, bounce all over the outside, and that is horrible for traction.
It's also that surface change as well. We've seen quite a few of the cars, and particularly the Chevrolets and the Ladas seem to hop a little bit from the rear end as they're coming around there.
And you see Björk, very good first sector, only 37 thousandths away from the fastest lap so far. Still, that lap that was set 15 minutes ago by Norbert Michelisz. There's the Polestar Cyan Racing team. So Ted locking up. So lots of trail braking where you're going from one lot to the other here, Harry, in braking areas, and that's always going to be hard work on the rear tyres. I mean, hard work on the front tyres, but you see it from the rear.
Yeah, it's...
Like Norby's just gone fastest again, another purple lap.
Almost identical to his previous 3,000s.
3,000s quicker.
Yeah.
2,000. Yeah, he's gone from an 83 to an 81. So I know that was Thiago, beg your pardon. So Norby's fastest lap is a 22.084. Thiago had a 22.085, but he's now gone 4 thousandths quicker to a 22.081. And Björk is pressing on. This is now the Volvo driver trying to work out what race pace they might have. A 22.7, that'll be a decent race pace.
Yeah, P5 is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. Ivan Muller, 14th. I'm not going to go and ask him, are you?
No. I think it's always hard to tell, isn't it, in these FP sessions, but he's done 18 laps, but to be that far off is a bit unusual for him. But
I think he might be a bit of an angry traveller today. James Thompson 13th, Tom Chilton 12th. Chevrolet and Citroen, Frederick Ekblom 11th, Gabriele Tarquini 10th place. Tom Coronel is the only Chevrolet in the top 10, he's 9th. Mehdi Benani in 8th. Benani and Chilton 1-2 in the opening race in Hungary 2 weeks ago.
Banani fastest independent, but obviously Konkar now right behind him as well.
Yeah. Flag is out.
Big lock there, wasn't it?
Yep. Well, you know, hard to see where Lopez is finding more in the car than Muller is. But Lopez best lap at 22.45, Muller's at 23.50, 1.05 seconds away from his teammate. You know, when you're a 10th behind, you fret, Harry.
Yeah.
When you're a second behind, you tend to spit the dummy a little bit.
Yeah, it's a big chunk, isn't it? Well, 1.4.
It's a long way back.
Yeah, it is. But you've got to wonder, maybe they're trying something on Muller's car. I can't imagine he's on. When
you've only got a two-car team, as Total Citra Racing have, you have to split the difference in free practice and try things. And you go, okay, guys, we need to sit down and work as a team. Free practice doesn't mean anything except we get closer to a good race setup. Nobody gets points for free practice. Nobody gets prizes for free practice. Nobody gets a free watch for free practice.
It's exactly that as well. They're working as a team, and they will be concerned at the pace of the Hondas here. So maybe they're going different. You know, they could have gone a complete different route on Muller's car and thought, let's re-engineer the whole job from the beginning. And
absolutely. Whatever we tried, okay, we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
Now let's both start with a variation of what we've done on Jose's car and see what we can, you know, where we can go from there. There's Norby, second fastest. Thiago Monteiro fastest of all. Jose Maria Lopez, 4/10 back, 0.377, and Rob Huff 0.380, so 3 thousandths between them. So it's all but a Honda 1-2-3. Nicky Katzberg, fastest of the larders, but a second behind in free practice. I wonder whether they're going to be challenging for pole like they did in Slovakia. And I wonder whether there's going to be any dawdling in the top 5 shootout like there was in Slovakia. That could be really dangerous here.
You know, I think Bjork could have just gone on a new tyre run there, because we know yesterday they didn't use any new tyres where most of the other manufacturers did. He's 5th, and I know they were concerned about the pace of the Volvo in general, so that might not necessarily be that representative. Don't quote me on that, but just at a guess.
Well, I mean, Volvo have no idea how competitive they're going to be anywhere, because they've never run this car. They've never run this car anywhere. They've never run it before in this championship or any other. And so anything they might have learned from coming here with C30s is irrelevant, because the car's so different. So it's, you know, they're always, I think, trying to find out where they are in free practice. Let's hear from Alex and Thiago Monteiro.
A very nice start there for you, Thiago. Looks like setup is going to be vital here. Looks like there may be some splitter issues with the bumps.
Yeah, the curbs are quite aggressive, obviously, so we need to test the limits and to see how far we can go, really. So yeah, I had a little bit of a touch on my splitters, but today was a session we wanted to try that. So let's see if it's acceptable, or we have to change a bit more of the setup. Yeah, for sure, the cars feel good. All the Hondas are quite tight at the front. We need to keep it up. Focus, follow the track evolution. It will be faster and faster. So yeah, we'll keep working.
Lovely, nice aggressive start.
Well, and consistent among the teammates as well. You know, there's 4 tenths covering the 3 of them, and as you can see, 3 thousandths between the 2. So effectively what you do is you take Rob's out, because Rob's not 4 tenths slower than either of them. So whatever it is they were doing on Rob's car, okay, again, right, we'll bin that, because the other 2 had a variety of slightly different setups, but I mean, almost nothing between them. Whatever the 2 cars were doing, that, you know, 3 thousandths of a second between them is just, you know, nothing. It's immeasurably tiny, the gap. So
yeah,
Honda have got something here. Now what they need to do is refine it a bit and roll it in some glitter. So free practice.